So, Trisha Thadani, you cover the tech industry for The Post. Can you just describe a little of how the Elon Musk-Donald Trump relationship has evolved and really grown these last few weeks?
Yeah, so just take the places that they've been spotted together. They've been at rallies together. They've been spotted on a golf course together. They watched the election night returns at Mar-a-Lago with Trump's family. And then he was on a call with Ukraine President Zelensky a few days after Election Day. And now what we learned Tuesday night is that he has officially been appointed to the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. The stated goal of this so-called department is to find efficiencies within government, basically find out where budgets can be cut, where staffs can be cut, how can you make the government more lean? There's obviously a lot of questions on how effective this will actually be, but what's really notable here is that Elon Musk is at the top of it.
From the newsroom of The Washington Post, this is Post Reports. I'm Martine Powers. To Wednesday, November 13th. Today on the show, we are talking about the budding friendship between the president-elect and the richest person in the world, and what it means for how the country will be run for the next 4 years. Trisha, before we dive more into the role that Musk might play in Trump's presidential orbit, first I want to understand, what has Musk's involvement in politics looked like over the course of his career?
So over the last couple of months, we've seen Musk really out front campaigning for President Trump. He started this super PAC back in the spring called the America PAC, which he has donated at least $118 million to. And this super PAC was seen as one of the most prominent independent get-out-the-vote efforts for Trump. So it funded canvassers that were going all over the country in battleground states, knocking on doors, encouraging people to vote for Trump and also to vote early. It's unclear how much that exactly tipped the scales for Trump in a quantitative way. But what we do know is that it really cemented Musk's relationship with Trump. Trump has been so thankful and has been fawning over how much support Musk has given him.
Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
And as we know, Trump is a very transactional president. So he's come out and said things, Elon Musk is supporting me so much. We need to make life good for people like him. So Musk's political gamble on Trump really already seems to be paying off.
But I think what's notable here is that this didn't used to be how Musk conducted himself, right? Like, he was actually not very involved in politics up until recently. Even as early as March, he was saying, look, I'm not going to donate money to either candidate for U.S. president. And then it seemed all of a sudden that a switch flipped. And very quickly, not only was Musk involved politically, but he was very involved. What do you make of that sudden turn? Why did he decide all of a sudden, not only was he going to start becoming involved in politics, but doing it in a big way and in a very aggressive way to try to support Trump?
Yeah, this has been an incredibly stark transition. You go back to the spring when he first formed the super PAC. Through reporting, we learned that in that first meeting, Musk specifically said that he wasn't interested in being the face of this PAC. It was quite secretive that he was involved with it. Then, throughout the summer, we started to see him come out a little bit more in front of it. So we saw Musk this summer speak at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, which was the site of the attempted assassination on now President Trump.
Come on up here, Elon. He created the first major American car company in generations, and his rocket company is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Come here. Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. The true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot.
Then it seemed like we were seeing him everywhere. He was speaking at rallies in swing states. He was holding town halls.
What I want to emphasize before anything else is as the sign says, vote early and vote now.
He spoke at Madison Square Garden.
America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
He was also doing a $1 million giveaway to voters who signed a petition.
I have a surprise for you, which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
So toward the end of the summer and in the run-up to the campaign, it felt like we were seeing Elon Musk everywhere, and that's because we were seeing Elon Musk everywhere. So the transformation of Musk's politics and his political career has been incredibly notable over the last couple of months. And it does beg the question of, like, what exactly is Musk looking to get out of this?
Yeah. Like, why is it that this moment was the moment that he decided, look, this is something I have to get involved in? And obviously he sees a common cause between him and Trump. But, like, what is that? What are his shared values there?
Yeah. So first, you got to start with business. Musk has a lot of business interests that are tied up with the federal government. So, he has his rocket company, SpaceX, which has billions of dollars of contracts with the government. He has Starlink, which is an internet service. And then he has Tesla, which is obviously the incredibly popular electric vehicle company that has had kind of a hard time under the Biden administration.
Tesla is recalling more than 2 million cars.
That's nearly all of the electric vehicles Tesla has sold in the U.S.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is investigating Tesla's partial automation system.
There's been recalls, there's been investigations, which has essentially soured Musk's relationship with that administration. And the thinking is that under Trump, not only will he have more opportunities to get more of these fresh contracts for his other companies, but there is also a higher probability that under a Trump administration, his Tesla in particular would face less scrutiny.
So do you feel like that is the core of it? Basically, that Musk stands to benefit financially, that his businesses stand to benefit if Trump is president again, and that's why he kind of threw his weight behind Trump?
Right. So, then there's the ideological reasons that he's supporting Trump. Musk, over the last couple of years, since he's taken over Twitter, we've seen him rail against what he calls the woke mind virus. He says that we've become too politically correct, that free speech is under attack from the Democrats. So he took over Twitter with, from what he says, his goal of restoring free speech. Now, what we've seen, the result of that has been, there's been tons of misinformation on the platform, there's few controls, etc. But he feels that Trump holds similar values when it comes to his version of free speech and a similar disdain for the so-called woke mind virus. On a personal front, what people close to Musk and observers of him will point to as a real inflection point is Musk has a transgender daughter. He said in an interview this summer that his son was killed by this woke mind virus. And so they obviously have a really tense relationship because of that. And that was also a huge flashpoint for him.
And so, Tricia, as you described, Musk decides to get involved in a very big way. And you saw that play out over the course of the summer and the weeks leading up to the election. America PAC pouring millions and millions of dollars of Musk's own money into basically getting people out to vote for Trump. Those get out the vote efforts also involved this $1 million a day giveaway that was also part of Musk's idea of trying to get more people interested in the election. So I wonder, when you take all of this together, how much do you think Musk's influence actually had an impact on the outcome of the election and Trump winning?
So it'll be hard to get exact data on this to understand, how many more people exactly did the America PAC influence to vote for Trump and how much did that contribute to his win. But what I can say is that we know that Trump did really well among rural and low propensity voters. And that was the exact population that the America PAC was targeting. So I went to Wisconsin a couple weeks ago to shadow a door knocker for the America PAC. And I talked about this on the Campaign Moment a few weeks ago as well, shortly after that trip. And it was a really fascinating experience to see this play out in person. When I was with that canvasser, the few Trump voters we had come across that day, when I had asked them what they thought of Elon Musk being behind the super PAC, what I heard multiple times that day was people were so thankful to have somebody like him on, quote, our side. One man in particular I'm thinking of, he said, you know, the Democrats, they've always had these billionaires. They've had the George Soroses, et cetera. But finally, we have someone like Musk who has the clout, he has the cultural relevance, and he has the money, and clearly he has the passion. So there's been a lot of excitement on the right around having a figure like Musk be involved.
Well, let me ask this, and I think to kind of push more in the direction of that point that you heard from some of these voters in Wisconsin, this sense of like, well, he's not the first rich guy to decide to get involved in politics. And as much as the way that Musk is doing this and some of the things that he's saying, I mean, it feels revelatory. Obviously, there have been other billionaires who decide to throw money behind candidates to get involved in a way that presumably will also further their own interests and their own ability to influence the government if their preferred candidate wins. So, like, how much is Musk's role actually new or just like another iteration of the way that we've seen money and wealthy people influence politics for a long time?
Yeah, as you said, he's not the first billionaire to come in and try to influence an election based on his personal interests. But for Musk, what makes him so unique is just how many parts of our society and our lives and our consciousness he permeates. Not only does he own one of the most popular electric vehicle companies, Tesla, you know, other country leaders are very thankful to Musk because of the internet access Starlink has given their countries. And then you have Twitter, which is now obviously called X, where Musk has this incredible megaphone. He has more than 200 million followers, where he's within moments of posting something, he's able to garner hundreds of thousands to millions of views. So while he's not the first rich guy to get involved in politics, he has this unique confluence of social and societal factors that makes this an entirely new moment.
After the break, we'll get more into the details of the quote-unquote Department of Government Efficiency and Musk's goal to cut $2 trillion from the government's budget. We'll be right back. All right, so let's talk about what Musk's role will look like going forward now that Trump has won the election. And we have big news on this from last night. Trump just announced that Musk will co-lead something called the Department of Government Efficiency. He's going to co-lead this along with former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. So what is this Department of Government Efficiency?
Well, I'd say right now we have a lot more questions than we have answers on what exactly this is. We've been hearing about this Department of Government Efficiency for the last couple of months. We can go back to the summer when we first heard about it, when Musk said that he would love to serve in the White House in this capacity. So it's still unclear what exactly it's going to do. The stated goal is to essentially trim the fat from government, find out where, there can be firings, where budgets can be cut. During the campaign, Musk had said that he wants to cut up to $2 trillion worth of spending in the government.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
Which is a crazy amount of money that would cause incredible disruptions in sort of the day-to-day operations of the government. What we learned last night was that this committee will be making recommendations of cuts, and they have until July 2026 to do it. So it's unclear exactly how effective it will be, also especially because Congress must approve any changes to appropriations. So we don't know yet if this will be more than sort of just a glorified post for one of Trump's biggest supporters, or if it will actually have tangible impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of me wonders, like, is this kind of a joke? Because, you know, it's the Department of Government Efficiency, which the acronym for that is DOGE, which that's the meme that Musk is really into. So it sort of feels like this isn't a serious endeavor. But at the same time, I mean, obviously, Trump has a lot of power here, and the questions about how something like this could interact with Congress, as you say, are important questions. I'm curious, what do we know about how Musk has managed his companies in the past that would give us a sense of how he would look at something like government efficiency? I mean, is this similar to the types of business decisions that he's made at his other companies, at Tesla, at X, formerly Twitter? I mean, does he have the skills to execute something like this?
There's been a lot of concern of what it looks like to have Elon Musk in a position of power like this, where he is recommending, you know, the way that the government operates. If you go back to his takeover of Twitter back in October 2022, we saw mass firings. He had cut up to 75 to 80% of the staff. A lot of these decisions were rash. We've seen him do the same thing at Tesla, where he suddenly cuts entire departments without any warning. There's this classic Musk leadership style, and it's very erratic with high expectations, and he wants to be as lean as possible. So based on how he's run his companies, if he takes the same approach to the federal government, and it's important to note, if this commission actually has any kind of power, there's a lot of questions of what exactly is going to happen to our federal government and what that's going to look like going forward.
And also what that would mean for Musk's businesses. As you pointed out, he has federal contracts, he has financial relationships with the government. And so what does it mean that he would now be a part of the government?
Yeah, that's another huge question that's been hovering over this the entire time of like, there are so many conflicts of interest here, and how exactly are our checks and balances in our government going to control for that? There's been questions in particular of what he's going to do with the Federal Transportation Agency, for example, because they've opened all these investigations and recalls into Tesla. So will he take
and those are specifically about like self-driving capabilities, whether they're potentially putting people in harm's way.
Exactly. Self-driving, the safety of this technology. So there are questions if he's going to take a retaliatory approach to it. The thing that has been most interesting to observe is, why is it even necessary for Musk to have a formalized role like this? It has been so clear over the last couple of days, even since the election, and even before that, that he is really in Trump's ear. He, even without having a formalized role in the White House or in the government, it is still so clear how much influence he will have over this president, who is incredibly transactional and who has been extremely pleased about how much Elon Musk has stuck his neck out for the president.
So looking at all of this, Tricia, what do you think this moment says about how the billionaire class interacts with conservative politics?
What I've been hearing from longtime Republican strategists is that Musk has really opened the floodgates here. He's really changed how a billionaire and somebody with his influence can put their thumb on the scale. You've seen Musk really push the envelope here. First of all, with just how much money he's poured into this, at least $118 million into the America PAC specifically. And that's not to mention the millions he put into other Republican PACs throughout this campaign. And then we also saw him push the legal envelope here. He did a $1 million giveaway to registered voters who signed a petition. And while you can't draw a direct line of like, okay, did that $1 million giveaway influence X amount more people to vote? What you can say is that it increased his visibility. It increased people's desire to sign this petition. And it also begs the question of, going forward, will it increase the prevalence of these kinds of giveaways and ways to influence people to come and vote? So Musk has always been somebody who has pushed the envelope, and he's done that with his companies, and we've seen that with the success that he's had with Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink. And now, I guess we'll have to sit back and see what he does when it comes to the government.
Trisha, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Trisha Thadani covers the technology industry for The Post. Before we go, we've got a couple other big pieces of news about how the new government is coming together. Trump has announced a number of nomination plans. Today, we heard he's choosing Representative Matt Gaetz for Attorney General and Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. And earlier, we heard that Trump picked Army veteran and Fox News personality Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary. Hegseth has criticized the military for being too woke. In a podcast interview with The Sean Ryan Show that published last week, Hegseth talked about what he thought needed to change in the military.
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. Obviously you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve.
Hegseth's nomination sets up a battle over inclusion initiatives in the military, one of the nation's most diverse institutions. And Trump was at the White House today, meeting with President Biden. The two promised a smooth transition.
Thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim. You're welcome.
Trump never welcomed Biden to the White House after the election in 2020, which is part of what makes this meeting notable. And lastly, Senate Republicans have chosen their new leader, John Thune. He's the senator from South Dakota and a close ally of the retiring leader, Mitch McConnell. Thune beat out Senators John Cornyn of Texas and also Trump ally Rick Scott from Florida. While Trump did not endorse any of the candidates, the president-elect made it clear that he expects loyalty from whoever is leading the Senate. That's it for Post Reports. Thanks for listening. If you want to show your support for the show, please subscribe to The Washington Post. This is a great way to support our journalism, and you can get access to Washington Post podcasts ad-free in Apple Podcasts. Subscribe in Apple Podcasts or by following the link in our show notes. Today's show was produced by Ariel Plotnick with help from Lucas Trevor, Bishop Sand, Sabby Robinson, and Emma Talkoff. It was mixed by Sam Baer. It was edited by Maggie Penman. Thank you to Tom Simonite. I'm Martine Powers. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories from The Washington Post.